Afghan craziness. So I'm sure you've heard all about it, but no one could hear about it for a very long time. That's kind of the point. So an official who we don't know, remains unnamed, sent an email supposed to contain the names of 150 people, Paul, but by mistake it contained the names of 18,714 people. Can
Easily
happen
done.
to anyone. We've all sent a group email by mistake. Um, maybe not to 18,000 people containing information that could get you killed by the Taliban. That's where it differed. Now, there's also talk of this 33,000 people. And then there's also the 100,000. I think the 100,000 is like everyone potentially affected and to different degrees. And then there was worries that the Taliban would be able to kill these people. The Taliban have now come out and said, we had the list all along. So there's that. But because of this leak, basically judges said, no, this is a serious thing and you need to rehouse these people. And we ended up taking on apparently 24,600 of them, I believe.
They were
And we
offered.
don't know who, right.
So there
We
was
don't
an
know, but
offer
we don't know how
made,
many we've
weren't there?
taken. Do we even know how many we've taken? And we don't know who these people
Apparently,
are. Some of them,
7,000 took the offer up, and some of them are here, and some of them are on their
right.
way.
Yeah. And there's
I
a
mean,
very decent chance that the remainder of the 100,000 will launch lawsuits and say, what about us? All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. So, I mean, Dominic Cummings is pointing out this will lead to more and more lawsuits with people saying, what about me? And Cummings has also pointed out some of these people will be terrorists. He doesn't even say might; he says will be terrorists. So this is what we're looking
allegedly,
at.
there's some sex offenders in there. Naturally, I don't know what
Yes,
I'd like to
Farage is
apologise to our. I'd like to apologise to our Afghan listeners. There must be at least one, but in any group of Afghans, there always seems to be at least one sexual predator. That's like a rule.
that's just the data. I mean, yes, certainly Tice and Farage have been pointing that out. And Cummings, as well as saying they'll definitely be terrorists, says next move on Wallace's Afghan debacle, lawyers swarming to bring compensation cases for the Afghans. They've been traumatized, mental health. So as well as moving soldiers' families out of their homes for the Afghans, because they were put on military bases and so on, as well as bringing the dude who blackmailed the MOD because he was obviously a risk in Afghan and bringing his family, because ECHR rights to family life, and bringing all the rest of the families also because ECHR costing billions. The next move will be more billions to compensate them for bringing them here. This is, I mean, this is insanity. But this is going to be an ongoing shitstorm. I mean, the whole thing, I don't know, could be summarized by the Succession episode, Shitstorm at the Fuck Factory. That is what this is. That was the name of an episode of Succession. But this could also be the name of today's episode because this is absolute shitstorm at the Fuck Factory. I mean, we haven't even got onto the super injunction. So the super injunction is when you can't talk about the fact that you can't talk about it. It's like when Donald Rumsfeld said there were unknown unknowns, things we don't know, we don't know. You can't talk about it, but you can't even talk about the fact you can't talk about it, even to your employer, even to your family. It's a super, super, super injunction. And this came about apparently because of Ryan Giggs, because Giggsy was known to have a colourful life. A great player, questionable life off the
In
pitch at
both
times.
sense.
Player in both stances. And so, because of that, the government started using. They were meant to be for celebrities and very famous people, and the government starts using them. Like, well, we're famous, we're the government. It's not quite the same thing, is it, Rishi? This was under Rishi Sunak's government, so of course it's been used by lefties to say, "Oh, it's the more Tory back," and the Tories were awful. Obviously, Tice and Zia Yusuf are trying to pin it on Jenrick and say, "Oh, Jenrick was around at the time. He was pretty junior at the time, but of course they're going to try and do that." And Starmer's there talking about smash the gang. It's like the government is the gang. You're secretly smuggling Afghans in. But so this is what some people said when Rishi Sunak was talking about we're going to stop the boats. It's like not only are you not stopping the boats, you're secretly bringing in thousands of
You're
Afghans.
starting the planes
Yeah,
because I
and
assume that's how they got them in.
sorry for the rant, Paul. Just last thing I'll say because I'm giving all the information is this. This people are saying, well, it was done during Sunak's government, but what about Southport? That was also a super injunction of some sort, wasn't it? It was some sort of injunction against talking about Rudy Cabana. So governments are now just doing this across the board, and the whole thing is it's insane. It's almost beyond belief. But if you weren't used to what this country is like these days,
Mental. I mean, a super junction is never used, is it, to protect the public from good news?
right?
There's never been a super injunction to say, "Oh, we're going
You're
to
getting loads of
slash
money.
taxes." Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we
never
can't talk
happened.
about it,
It's
but
always
life's going to
like
be pretty
Ryan.
good for you guys.
It's always Ryan
It's never
Giggs is
that.
porking his brother's wife, or but we've accidentally allowed another 25,000 Afghans in because of an email error. I mean, why do we feel
Yeah,
like we have
if
to
Ryan
rescue
Giggs
them?
if Ryan Giggs starts shagging an Afghan terrorist, that will be a super injunction.
Super injunction, a Champions League injunction. I don't. I mean, where do you begin on this? It's given the backdrop that we find ourselves in with the constant invasion of illegal immigration via inflatable boats on the English Channel, um, and our seemingly inability to want to stop it. And I use that term deliberately. I was talking about this the other night. We can stop it. And the debate I was having with ex-Labour MP, and he was saying, well, you can't just stop it overnight. Well, of course you can. You just change the law. Yeah, the law doesn't allow, or maritime laws got brought into it. It's like, who gives a fuck about maritime law? Who's going to put that into action? Anyway, if there was a war tomorrow, you wouldn't say, well, we can't stop them coming over. Imagine the Battle of Britain. Oh, sorry, the ECHR says no. Look, all of a sudden, when you're being invaded, and when your country, your women, your children, your culture is under threat, and on a hourly basis, then you do something about it. Unless you are complete cucks, we're cucks to the world at the moment. Which everybody looks at us and just thinks, "Oh, they'll let it happen to them. They'll let it happen to them." You know, I can't think of other. I mean, mainland Europe, continental Europe. You look at Italy and places like that. I guess that is happening to them as well. But they're hamstrung. They're hamstrung by being in the EU. We left the EU. We got none of the benefits of the EU. We then got the Boris wave because we'd left the EU, and anyone can come here anyway. So there has been no advancement in terms of protecting our borders and our people since 2016 whatsoever. And that really was the sole reason people wanted to vote for Brexit, whether you think they're racist, xenophobic, or bigoted in some way, and you're stupid on that level. You know, you're entitled to your thoughts, but that's not really the crux of the matter. The crux was to protect our isles, and to find out that our own government, through its own mistake, has essentially invited these people, the people that we're all arguing to try and keep out, just in to say sorry. That's what this is. It's a sorry. We're putting their lives. They already live in Afghanistan, but the risk is already high. Just nipping down the shops is a risky business in Afghanistan. I'm guessing probably not as risky as it would be in some parts of London, but almost as risky. And to find out that our own government felt they needed to impose a super injunction, by the way, which now they'll just say, and I'm sure they have done, they'll just say, well, they needed to do it as a matter of national security. That's horseshit. It's a matter of saving face. And we're talking Tory government here, we're talking Labour government, we're talking the blob. And we'll get onto reform in a minute. And now there's, obviously increasing doubts that reform would protect us from this sort of thing. And I really cannot get my head around why we are not comfortable being hardline on this. You wouldn't leave your door open at night. If you lived in a very dangerous neighbourhood, you would lock your door and you would protect yourself and your family. That's what you would do. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's what we've done since, for millennia. It's the way humans have evolved. It's the way we've been able to evolve, by protecting ourselves. And some cultures are not compatible with others. In the West, whether the rest of the world like it or not, we have built a culture which enables us to be democratic and free and protect the rights of women and be proud and patriotic about who we are, in an open way. This is not true of a number of these other cultures. Are some cultures better than others? Yes. In the same way some football teams are better than others. Yes. I mean, in order for some of this narrative to have to really make sense, we've had to remove any competition or meritocracy from the world. Everything has to have meritocracy removed, because if you include meritocracy in any of these kind of policies, then you have to exclude someone. So you have to protect the incumbent culture. It's my favourite phrase at the moment, incumbent culture, which is being eroded on a daily basis. And it'll erode to a point where that sentence makes no sense anymore, because the incumbent culture isn't worth protecting. But anyway, back to the super injunction, the email. Really unfortunate, seriously unfortunate. It reminds me, 22 years ago, somebody in HR at the business I was working in accidentally released all salary details from everyone in the business to everybody. And there was a code you had to break to find out someone's salary. Their name was on one line, and their salary was actually the line below. So it didn't take very long. And literally the panic, right? So out of the offices, there were offices in their day, not open plan. Out of the offices, run the management team down the offices that we were sat in, going, "Nobody read the email. It is illegal to pass the email on," and or just going mad because this email had an attachment in it, which essentially had everybody's address, everybody's salary, and it smashed the living crap out of that business for about 2 years. Every single appraisal meeting was filled with evidence of why their colleague was, can you justify why my colleague gets paid more than me? Or, all this sort of stuff. So, on some small level, I've been involved in that sort of unfortunate disaster. But does that mean we have to rescue these people? There's all sorts of nuance around the argument. We were in Afghanistan. We were causing the problem in the first place. Yes, we have to rescue them. What? At what cost, though? At what cost?
Yeah, I mean, a few things. One, your internet is maybe poor today. We know it's not mine because I clocked 481 download and 397 upload the other day. But it just means I can't tell when your rant's ending and your arms flail about like a strobe light, like when you were at a disco
Oh,
when you're
sorry,
13. So I can't tell. But yeah, and you've gone hardcore, Paul. People have pointed out how hardcore you've gone on all these. People have been saying on this show you've got more edgy, and you've been on GB saying stuff about the migrants. You've gone edgy, but it's broken. I understand, Paul. This is how we all feel. You've gone edgy. Dark Paul has come out.
I just don't think it's even. I don't think it's right or left wing to be concerned about safety. I just don't.
Of course,
And the first
we
thing
don't know who
it's
these
like
people are.
exactly. It's like alcoholism, isn't it? I've said this before. I've used the example before. The only way an alcoholic can become well in any way is to admit they're an alcoholic. We have to admit as a country that we are failing our people and why we are failing our people.
Dan Wootton had a piece on his show. Someone had written into him saying, "Look, Dan, these people came onto this army base in Wales, and they basically were sort of feral, and they were just like not people you want to live anywhere near." And there's a very similar thing from a guy actually coincidentally called Dan on Twitter, who did his post. "I was still in the army whilst the Afghans arrived, settled in soldiers' accommodation, driving unregistered vehicles around, dozens of men hanging around at all hours of the night, no women to be seen as kept inside. Military families felt unsafe, service wives afraid to leave their houses. This has directly had an impact on military retention and ruined marriages. Untold harm. Imagine being a private on £1,600 a month when the man with 3 wives and 7 kids gets 5k plus as he leers at your wife. This is a national disgrace." So that's an insider view from the army. It's so sick, and we haven't even talked about the cost. Really, 7 billion. Some are saying, some say that's misleading, and it's closer to 1 billion. Either way, pretty insane. You've got the claim that these were people helping soldiers, and of course, some of them were fighting alongside British soldiers in Afghanistan. But how many? I said last night, is it 12? Is it 1,000? Is it 100? We don't know. There were not that many troops over there, full stop. So it can't be that many. It certainly isn't 24,000. Mark Jenkinson here, a Conservative MP, puts a bizarre thing. So Tice from Reform, Richard Tice says, government barrister asked judge to continue with super injunction, spending billions, covering up truth, importing heaven knows whom for political and reputational considerations, truly appalling. And Mark Jenkinson replies, there are some political parties who I wonder would defend this country until there were foreign warships in our harbours, if at all. There are some in Richard's party wouldn't defend our allies when called upon, and there are some that won't stand beside those who carry British coffins. Patriots is not a word that could be used to describe them. He's trying to play the patriot card. It's one of the worst tweets I've ever seen. It's like Infinity Afghans brought in secret actually good. It's like, what are you talking about?